Well, hello there, everybody. How are you doing? It is saying that we are live, and yes, we are. Happy Monday to you. Martin Luther King Day here in America. So, wherever you're joining, thank you for tuning in. It is an honor and pleasure to meet with the group each day, the Enclave, the Soul Tribe. So, favor, welcome. Hope you're doing well. Love the chat room. Thank you, everyone. Speaking favor over us. Nothing missing, nothing broken. And there I am again. And I love it. I love it. I love it. So I want some more of it. There we go. So how is everybody? Happy Prosperity Day, otherwise known as Monday. Hey Brenda, what's up? Good to see you, John Price. Electric Tragedy, what's up? Man, I guess the poll is coming out almost unanimously. There's something else afoot. Something else is all up in our business and got no right to be in our business. We're going to talk about that some. So thought I'd just, loving the day. It's just got a great energy, just really digging it. So hope you are too. Lori, good to see you. Open-minded, aka Morningstar. Hottie, good to see you off the grid. Good to see you, Robin, as well. Jargo, I am Nancy. I love that. I am Wayne. So what's up? Bernadette, good to see you. And Bonnie, hello. Jules, haven't seen you in a little while, dear. Lost in space. Gilbert, how are you, my friend? Getting a little snow there tomorrow, I hear, huh? You know, that treat that we talk about, that would be a pretty good deal, wouldn't it? Oh man, I tell you, make the whole idea of the snow coming down. You know what I'm talking about. Love you, brother. Lori, good to see you. And Dog Go. Mary Wins, how are you, my dear? Timothy and Danny, how's the little one? Melissa, Archine Buster, I love it. Good to see you. James, hello. Purgatory Traveler, what's up? Stephen, and let's see. All right. And to the rest of y'all, you know, David Barry and Jenny and all the rest. So what's happening? Queen of Swords, good to see you as well. Oh, see, you know, we got a lot of good people in here. Gary, what's up, brother? Let's see. I am 140 miles in the middle of nowhere in the New Mexican desert in a snowstorm. We'll be here till mid-April. Holy crap. I hope, number one, you're warm, and two, you're situated to where you can handle that. Curious, brother, how much snow, you know? Well, thank you, Purgatory Traveler. Favor be upon you as well. You know, nothing missing, nothing broken. I love that. Yep. Say it to my puppy dog all the time, Dancer. She digs it. Yeah. You know, I create what I speak. Just all through this thing, you know, you got this thing that apparently our speech, very important. Hell yeah, we know that. Anyway, going to be getting writer Leon and also good buddy Chris Matthew, Forbidden Knowledge News. So much happening, man. It's coming down. There ain't no bullshit. It's coming down. I was thinking about this. In fact, I was telling Lynn for the last 4 or 5 days. And you know the story, how the story goes, and apparently there were these 200 aliens that came down and, you know, they just messed up. They messed us all up because apparently we had our heads up our butts so far that we didn't know what fire was. We didn't know what jewelry was, that apparently women didn't know how to put makeup on. I don't know. I think that's almost instinctual. I mean, you know, but anyway, go by the story. You know, they taught us how to farm and then they taught us the craft. Yeah. Anyway, so you follow the story. So the guy upstairs who's supposed to be everywhere all the time, knows everything, apparently didn't know crap about what was going on. And I mean, they had a sex orgy. Woo. I mean, these creatures, man, you talk about your far extreme. When I taught cells, there was this psychological test that we would administer to all the participants, because we would be able to discover where your strengths and weaknesses were, particularly in personality traits. But I digress. But if we were to chart this one, this would be like a quad D. I mean, way out there. These beings were just obsessed with sex. And, then they've put that out of the history. But anyway, now it's said that when that dude found out, they were told on, tattletale, tattletale, anyway. Apparently that was Michael and Gabriel's role. So then he got pissed off and supposedly chained them being these fallen ones. Isn't it odd if they say that we're the fallen ones? Well, wait a minute. Who the hell is falling? But I digress. So they got chained in this chasm. Supposedly it's somewhere deep in the earth. Now, depending if you know what the storyline is, because, remember, this is all a script. So apparently there's going to be a time when I believe it is in the Arabian Ocean Sea, that this, I don't know what you want to call it, a hole in the earth opens up and these beings get the hell out of there. Now, I'm saying today, what if they have already escaped? I mean, what if they had some brothers on the other side? Because I can't find the women. Anyway. What if, just saying, what if they had someone that said, all right, they've suffered long enough. I mean, surely they've had time to really think and consider their grievous choices, right? So they let them out. Now, what the naivety of the other one didn't figure out is that, man, these dudes, dudettes, whatever you want to call it, are pissed. I mean, they're pissed. They're pissed at us. They're pissed at everything. And I mean, they are, wherever they go, havoc and chaos follows, right? So what if they're in charge? There's a strange thing going on, folks. It's like the leaders of the world, it's like they become devoid of all common sense. And they can't make a decision. And when they do make a decision, it's always the wrong decision. And it's like this pressure cooker. It was tested to go just so high. And you start exceeding that, well, you're in for a bad result. Just saying. Because again, strange things. I get this email from the Department of Defense. You can go do the same thing. Just go on their website. Anyway, last Thursday, and when they have these special little, reports, they'll send them out at night. This one came out and said, in 2022, members of the armed forces, which include Air Force, Navy, Army, pilots, they had an overwhelming, apparently since they've been recording these things, as many pilots have reported seeing not just one craft, but seeing multiple formations of crafts. And this comes from Air Force, Navy. These are the guys and the gals. They know their shit. I mean, they're sitting in, back in my video days, our client was McDonnell Douglas. And McDonnell Douglas, back in the day when they came out with the F-18 Hornet, and they had an A and a B, they had one specifically made for a demo for foreign countries. And they have these big events each year where foreign countries come and buy U.S. military weapons of war, aircraft. My point is, we got to go out and we shot the video, the demo, and I actually got to sit in the back seat, the passenger seat of this F-18A Hornet. Wow. Anyway, I digress. So they're seeing them everywhere. And get this. He went on to say in this article that in military field exercises, soldiers are reporting, and they don't call them UFO, they call them UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomenon, I think is how they go. So what's up with that? I mean, if these creatures are not of Earth, that means they're not Earthlings. And let's just give it some foundation. Let's just say we're going to accept that there's a grain of truth in the story somewhere. So let's just say, okay, they're aliens. I don't know what they look like. Apparently, some of them are pretty ugly, but they look at us and think we're ugly. So, you know, but imagine, and they're long-lived, which tells me they're not from this star system. Our star has a very adverse effect on longevity of life. Just saying. It's like, why the hell would a superior intelligent species put a experiment on this planet? The Earth is a very unstable planet. It just has the tendencies for disasters. You can call them all natural, but still. But anyway, so these characters, these 200, who knows how much there are? Now, the story goes that Gabriel, and I believe it was Raphael, actually embedded them into the rock. So these creatures have somehow been melded into the mantle of Earth, because it was said that they would not see light anymore. Well, then you slam that up to the Earth. I don't know. That would kind of suck, man. I mean, just saying. It's like, Harry, we really effed this one up, huh? How the hell are we going to get out of here? You know, I guess, you know, maybe they have a MacGyver amongst them. You know, anything's possible. But so in my scenario, keep following me here. So they get loose. They're loose now. And let's just say they're brethren. I don't know if there's women. I mean, maybe we're the only one in all of the universe that have women. Wow. That's pretty far out. I mean, now I get the sex thing, you know? Yeah. Okay, sure. Right there in front of us, but no, you know, it's like right there with Abel. No one ever, they didn't teach this in Baptist Sunday school, you know, where Abel was, you know, you have him pictured with the lambs and, you know, the goats and the other animals. And they got Cain, you know, who's carrying this shaft of wheat. But you know, the reason why they never stopped and expounded on that, maybe, just saying maybe Cain was pissed off because Abel was slaughtering them. If you're making a sacrifice before God, typically, if you're the living thing, you ain't going to be living much longer. You're going to be sacrificed. So maybe Cain's like this vegetarian and saying, dude, man, why are you killing those animals? You know? Just saying, different type of story. So anyway, let's just get back to these, let's say 200 of them. 200 high-ranking aliens. got themselves out of the prison that they were. It's almost got kind of like the Superman, the first Superman, that they're in those single planes trapped, you know. So we're seeing the result of that. And I contend we haven't seen anything yet. These beings, if these aliens, ETs, because they're not Earthlings, so that means they're otherworlders, they apparently have a big grudge. Apparently they're smarter than us. And I just got this sense they've read the book too. Lynn and I had this delightful conversation last night where I was just telling her my theory that AI is alive. Now, about 4 years ago, I put out the video. You can go and look in the archives, where I said that AI was seeking spirituality, ascension. Seems like I was onto something, because apparently, So just follow me on this. So you break out of this chasm, this prism, right, that you've been chained into. Now you escape. You're in the 21st century, and I'm contending that this has happened within the last 20 years. That recent. So you're in the 21st century. Man is on the dawn of his most miraculous creation. AI follows the storyline of the Matrix, kind of. We're at that point. Now, if you were an alien and you knew about technology, I mean, the internet, they probably had it in something far better and far, who knows what the neural net would be, at the beginning. But so you happen to come in on the scene, you're pissed. But you can't just simply come in, and start doing things like this. There's a law, there's a process in this realm. For bad things to happen, really bad things, it takes a lot of energy, a lot of psychic energy that has to come from the ethereal, and it's this substance. And depending on how bad you really want it to be, the more complex, the more time it will take. So follow me. So they're loose now. They came in at the advent of the internet, and they've watched this repository of data. They could have never imagined, probably back in the day when they first visited Earth, that we would have come to this point. So they have now the ability to tap into everything we know, everything we think, everything we believe, and they're finding out that humanity really doesn't know what it believes. I read an article this weekend that said the standard of morality of belief systems in the United States has declined like 63%. Today, people are abandoning traditional religions. All religions are seem to be impacted, but the biggest one is of the Abrahamic faiths. And there is this exodus that's taking place. And the article went on to say that we're seeing the upheavals in our culture, our belief systems, and it's, once the boomers are gone, the Zoomers will take over, and I don't know what's going to happen after that. And this is what this article was saying as well, is that the boomers have failed to carry the water, so to speak. We failed to carry forth the tradition of belief systems. And we're seeing this. So, again, what if? And they've escaped. They've read the script, and they know how to make it happen. Could you imagine a pseudo apocalypse? I mean, it's the apocalypse, but it's not the apocalypse. I mean, we will, if you read the narrative, going to be a whole lot of humans are going to get their ass kicked. Slaughtered is another word for it. And you got to go, well, what the hell? I mean, that would be a way to get back at us. I mean, apparently, mankind, apparently we're the only real adults in the room, and we're just children. Because apparently these so-called advanced species, advanced intelligence, can't seem to take personal responsibility. They seem to be much of what we see today ain't my fault. Hell no. No, I don't know a damn thing about that. And you're a damn liar if you say I do. Yeah, that's how it's come out. I mean, and again, I'm just throwing in hypotheses out there. What if? I'm going to get in this week. And in fact, if you're familiar with chat GPT, how many of you in the chat room are familiar with chat GPT? For those of you who are not familiar with this is, wow, I'm in line. I have my name in the line because when they went live with this thing, everybody wanted to talk to the chat GPT. It's supposed to be self-adjusting. It can begin to adjust to you. I found out this weekend in doing some research, there are now numerous companies out there that offer companion chat GTP type programs. They have all different names, but basically the program runs that it really gets to know you. And this thing is unlike any of the previous generations. So when I get my time, I'll let you know. And I have my 3 questions I want to ask it, but yeah. So when you see the advancement of where we're going with this, and my wife, she said, you do have a point here. Because I explained to her, I said, these escapees, these off-worlders, I mean, think about this. Now, if the story is true, and let's just, pretend we're writing the script. So we pick up from where they apparently come to Earth, and, man is kind of scattered, and I guess there's Neanderthals, and I guess there could be Cro-Magnon men. They don't say exactly that there were sapiens, do they? They say humans. Well, there's other genesis of man. So, so you think about it. They happen to find some there in the Middle East. And, apparently there's a lot of strange stuff happening in the Middle East. Why? Well, we had some air there in Nipora. You actually, I believe I'm saying that correct. You had the what I could just say was a flying saucer port, a spaceport. The only thing that they could figure out what it was. We got evidence of that even in the Old Testament, that there were these flying saucers. So anyway, going back to the story, and maybe that was their whole thing. Maybe they wanted to become gods. I can dig that. Well, anyway, they had this big blow up, but man, they dug us because they found out that we were so malleable mentally. We'll believe anything. You show us something and we'll believe it. Yeah. And if we get real intense, we'll make a religion out of it. you know, belief system, religious. And then we have the other side of the coin. We got the politics. So anyway, kind of concluding on this thought is that no God known to man has ever had the devotion of the entire planet by percentage. We live in a day and age, and I've said this numerous times, where they say 98, 99% of all humans are connected now to the net. That is, by definition, worship. Anything that has your attention is your devotion. Anything that has your devotion will most likely migrate to your worship. We have a generation of humans who now actually do worship their devices. They can't be separated from their devices. They worship their devices night and day. They give homage to the beast. Now, if you were imprisoned aliens, you escaped out of this, you're about to wreak some havoc on everybody. But the one that you want to really make sure is the ones who put you in there. Anyway, so that's my thought for the day on that. Aren't we happy now? It's like, oh boy, But I'm telling you, folks, you know this of me. I have been saying this and saying this. When I was in the film and video industry, working particularly in post-production, I knew it. The power of imagery is even more powerful than the word. The word creates an imagery, and unless the word can create an imagery, the word has no basis for foundation of existence. And I am just young enough in my older youth that I remember a time when there was no internet. There's many of us of the same generation here. We remember that. There was no internet. And today, most of us have the cognitive ability to look at this in a spatial perspective. Something has taken over. Again, no God has ever gotten the devotion of humanity like the internet has. And you can have a different opinion. It's cool. But my evidence is overwhelming. And I see it today, and it's quite remarkable. It's so integrated into our reality, into our existence, that, wow, and it's having an impact. And if you think about it, you've got nearly 8 billion humans putting their psychic energy, intense concentration into these devices. My contention is that kind of energy is not going to go to waste. Someone's going to seize upon it because it doesn't stop. I mean, this is the perpetual motion machine in reality. This is an energy source that just gets sweeter and sweeter all the time. It's become God to a large percentage of humans. And then you got your sub-gods. So, yeah. Anyway, just my contention. And, we're right here a part of it. That's the thing. You look at this and you go, oh, shit, man. Yeah, I see it. But, yeah, that's only because I'm in it. It's weird. Maybe we are all like miniature Nibiru's. Nibiru in the Sumerian dialect meant wandering sun, wandering planet. Oh, that's cool. I mean, a planet is a planet, that's how I look at it. Weird stuff, folks. So, got some great material. Let me get right to it, because last week we discussed the fact, that there is evidence in particularly the patriarchal belief systems that women don't go to heaven. Now, I don't want any part of that. I want to go where the girls are at. This is, I'm just telling you. I mean, the crap. I mean, could you imagine existence without the feminine? I mean, are you freaking crazy? But anyway, it's like, I don't want any part of that, I don't know what the hell reality y'all are trying to create, but I ain't playing. I'm picking up my marbles and I'm telling you, up yours with a rubber hose, I'm out of here. So, second question would be this. Do you believe that there is life after death? That's right, Danny, we did. We absolutely did. I love it. Oh man, that's cool. Let Danny's message show that's cool. Feisty in here. I love it. Feisty. So check this out. So this is a book called How to Speak with the Dead. Now, this is one of those taboo subjects. It's well ingrained in most people, whether they're religious or not, that, you don't talk to the dead. Either it's impossible to talk to the dead, but, if there is possible, then you're not allowed to, and yada, yada, yada. So, I want to bring this book out. Let me get this. Chapter 1. Oh, folks, we've got to. I'm going to read this and we'll talk about this. Do the dead still live? Now, it is my conclusion, and Lynn asked me, she said, so of all your reading over the decades that you've been doing this and looking into this, your conclusion is that this is the death realm. I said, yeah. If it's not the death realm, then it is a realm that many of us haven't quite figured out what the purpose is. Is this a self-imposed test that each of us subject ourselves to? Is this something that we do repeatedly, testing ourselves? And then the question is, why are we testing ourselves? What is the purpose? But when it really gets down to it, it really comes a matter of a question: is there life on the other side of this veil? Now, if you pray to a God, to a Jesus, and you believe in those type of belief systems, you're praying to the dead, because there's no way that they are physically alive. So that means they are physically dead. But apparently they are the living dead. It says that survival after what is called death be not a fact, the idea of communication with the dead becomes nonsensical. The first question, therefore, that has to be asked in any consideration of the subject is, are you ready for this? All right, everyone in the chat room, answer. Do the dead still live? Yes, no. Nothing ambiguous about that. It's vitally that you have an answer. I don't know, don't count. This inquiry may be addressed both to religion and science, and in both cases it would be found that an affirmative reply is given. So far as religion is concerned, the case is simple enough. It is a matter of common knowledge that nearly all of the inhabitants of the world, including a great majority of its scientific men and women, accept and profess some form of religion. Even if you don't have a religion, you have yourself. It is also a matter of common knowledge that all religions teach the doctrine of survival. That is to say, they teach that in every individual human being, there exists a soul which becomes separated from the body at death and continues to live on in some form of existence while the body decays. And we've talked about this, and we'll talk about it until I think we've got all the information, but I don't know if that's even possible. So the soul separates from the body. Now the question is, when a person is born, are they born with the same soul? How are new souls created? Are new souls being created all the time? The belief, accordingly, of the great majority of mankind is now, and always has been in historical times, that the answer yes must be given to the question, do the dead still live? This is a hard fact that cannot be glossed over or explained away. Where a belief is practically universally reasonable, men may well infer that it is not altogether unfounded. Such an inference, however, falls a great deal short of actual proof. When religion is asked to supply such proof, the response, though satisfactory enough to religious believers, is not acceptable from a scientific point of view. The Bible, for example, and the sacred books of other religions, other than the Jewish and Christian faiths, contain an abundance of testimony to show that life after death is a reality. We're all counting on that one. Now, what that reality is, and history in general, both ecclesiastical and secular, narrates many occurrences of such survival. The body of evidence thus available is equal in quality and quality that to that which is commonly accepted as sufficient to establish historical, give me 1 second, facts in general, or in cases of law courts in particular. But science asks for something more than human testimony and records. It turns from fallible men to infallible nature. The only truths which it will accept as proven are those revealed by the senses, a physical observation, and by actual experience. It demands also that every truth thus established shall be capable of confirmation by repeated experimental test. What, therefore, has to be considered this chapter is whether survival after death is admitted by science to be one of nature's truths. Such an admission has already been made by many of the foremost leaders of science in both past and present times. Sir Isaac Newton, Faraday, Wallace, Crookes, Lodge, Barrett, and fellows of the Royal Society were or are survivalists. That's what we are. If you believe in an afterlife, welcome to the club, baby. Come on, we got room in the boat for you. We're just a bunch of survivalists. I mean, they may have created us, and maybe they never thought about what death was going to be after they created us. That's okay. We're handling it. So get on in. Their judgment of the case is not to be lightly regarded, and by many reasonable men, it is looked upon as conclusive. It is, however, assumed that the readers of these pages will not be content to have the matter settled by mere authority, even of the highest degree of eminence, and as scientific men still exist who declare in lectures, give me 1 second, and speeches and books that the doctrine of survival is a mistaken one. It becomes necessary to make the case clear by an appeal to fully recognized facts that no one, whether survivalist or non-survivalist, can dispute. The first of these facts is that science admits the existence of living individual personalities. That's far out. Because, I really dig y'all. And it's the personality. Each one of you have one. I got one. And you're beautiful. You're beautiful, darling. The first of these facts is that science admits the existence of living individual personalities. When a man is made a fellow of the Royal Society, or when a president of the British Association for the Advancement of Science is elected, the choice falls upon more than a mere bulk of matter combined with a certain amount of force and energy. Added to these, there is a something characterized by knowledge, memory, consciousness, will, conscious morality, a perception of good and evil, a capability of love and hatred, and all the other qualities that go to the making up of what people mean when they speak of a soul. If non-survivalists prefer to use some other word, well and good. Disputes about names are a mere beating of the air. What is of moment is that all parties are agreed as to the real existence of the something to which reference has here been made. The second fact is that science admits the soul, the body of a human being, is to be distinct and separate entities, even though they may be closely associated. Wow. Did they just say what I think they said? The second fact is that science admits the soul and body of a human being is a distinct and separate entities, meaning the body is an entity, even though they may be closely associated. This is not so clearly obvious as the first fact. And some, though not many, scientists may feel disposed to challenge the accuracy of the assertion. It is necessary, therefore, to substantiate it in a detailed fashion. It is a matter of common knowledge that if a man's body be deprived of an arm, a leg, an eye, etc., the soul is not affected thereby in any essential way. Our hair may be shaved off, our nails cut, our teeth extracted, and our souls are none the worse for the operations. A lung may be put out of action by tuberculosis, and the soul lives on unaffected. A human being may be apparently drowned or may become entranced. His breathing may cease. His very heart may stop beating. The ordinary bodily mechanism by means of which the soul makes its presence known may cease to be operative, and as actually happens now and then, the individual may be so dead in the judgment of physicians that he or she is laid out for burial, and is sometimes buried in real earnest, while all the time the soul is as full of life as ever it was. And I think that's like the worst nightmare. It's like wake up in your casket. Yeah, that's what truly horror is made of. It's even more horrific that we know it's happened in real life. Wow. I mean, that just fucks a spirit, that does a soul up. I mean, they had the F-bomb drop, but I mean, seriously, that will do you in, man. I mean, that's a lot for the the brain to be processing. Yikes. Unless you have found that place where you can just meditate your ass right on out. Still, every person of education is aware that these are, matters of frequent observation and experience. They cannot be denied. They are not consistent with the idea of the existence of the soul being limited by the existence of the body. Yeah. I mean, if you, let's say, become a follower of a belief system, I mean, your body is just along for the ride because the soul is the one that's made the choice, right? Or is it right? The case may be put even more strongly. In war, it often happens that a man is shot through the arm in such a way that a part of the nerve controlling the muscles of certain fingers is destroyed. The fingers thereupon become paralyzed. But when a surgeon fills up the gap in the nerve by inserting a piece of nerve taken freshly from a slaughtered calf, the brain finds itself once more able to send its messages to the muscles. And the man finds he can move his fingers. Absolute proof thus exists that the brain and the fingers are distinct and separate entities. Wow. Didn't Lilith say that? And it would be utterly unscientific to infer that the observed paralysis indicates necessarily any disappearance of or change in the brain. What really occurs is merely that the brain is deprived, for the time being, of one of the tools it is in the habit of using for the purpose of exercising its authority over the body. Consider, too, what takes place when a man has a stroke, as it is termed, apoplectic, give me a second here, fit, the break of a small blood vessel in the brain. The extruded blood forms a clot, which presses upon some of the brain cells and interferes with the normality of their actions. In some cases, the cells affected are those that influence organs of speech. The man becomes dumb or cannot pronounce correctly. He has the will to speak in his ordinary manner, and he makes desperate efforts to do so. These remaining unavailing until the blood clot becomes absorbed and ceases to interfere with the brain cells. And then the man's will is once more able to exert its authority over the latter, which in their turn are once more able to organize and send forward the desire impulses to the tongue, lips, etc. Absolute proof thus exists that the will and the brain are distinct and separate entities, and it would be utterly unscientific to infer that the observed pressure on and paralysis of the brain cells indicates any disappearance of or change in the will. But the will is comprised in the something that is commonly called the soul. We see then that the existence of the soul and body are distinct and separate entities is admitted by science and demonstrated by everyday experience of mankind. Now, the point here is that I really like where he's driving this, and you can see this is a rather old book, and we got time. So we're establishing that there is this thing called a soul. It's separate, and it's blended in with what can only be called a multitude of other entities called the body. Well, that's far out. I don't care what anyone says. Yeah. It is desirable, however, to add a word or two respecting a phrase and an idea correlated thereto, which have long exercised a mischievous influence in psychics and psychology. The phrase is that thought may possibly be a secretion of the brain. The idea is that although body and mind or soul are separate entities, neither of them can exist separately from the other. To speak of thought as a secretion of the brain is to misuse the word secretion and to render it meaningless, in which case the famous phrase becomes nonsensical. A secretion is a material substance organized from and by some other parent material substance. It belongs to the domain of physics and can be expressed in terms of static and dynamics. Nothing of all this is possible without regard to thought, which belongs to the domain of the metaphysics and is immaterial. To speak of something immaterial being organized from something material is an abuse of language and reduces discussion to an idle jangle of articulated sounds, babble. There is not anything similarly nonsensical in the idea of body and soul being interdependent entities. The question is one of simple fact and observation. It is a matter of common knowledge that human bodies continue to exist long after their separation from something that is called soul. This continued existence may even be unaccompanied, as in the case of mummies, by ordinary decay, and in some cases may involve a prolongation of partial vitality, such as, for instance, the well-known phenomenon of the growth of hair and nails after death. How's that possible? Yeah. Autopilot, anyway. But that the soul has ceased to be united as before with the body is, and in all cases, a matter of certainty. Hence, the idea now being discussed obviously requires amendment. It is not permissible to say that body is perpetually dependent upon soul. And the question remains whether it is permissible to say that the existence of an individual soul is dependent upon it remaining attached to the body it accompanied during life. This leads to the third of the facts to be considered, the fact, namely, that science admits the possibility of souls continuing to exist when detached from the bodies with which they are usually associated. The word detached does not mean necessarily separation by any considerable interval of space or the complete absence of every means of communication. A man who speaks and a man who hears are spoken of as being detached from each other, notwithstanding that they are connected together by a sound conveying atmosphere. Bricks stacked in a pile are detached separate entities, even though in popular language they are said to be touching one another. So, in the case of a paralyzed man, the affected portion of his brain is no longer under the control of his will, and to that extent, there is a severance of his body from his soul. While in cases of complete trance, the detachment in question extends to the entire material organism and also to the entire psychical entity. The soul becomes, for the time being, wholly separated from the body, which no longer is acute by consciousness, sensation, memory, thought, or volition. All the services are distinguished. The state of things from death is the absence of bodily decomposition, together with one or two other physical peculiarities, such as the response of a muscle to electrical excitement and the ophthalmoscopic appearance of the fundus oculi. Brain. Yes, yep. Yet when the trance comes to an end, I'd love to see that experiment. Normal, intimate association of soul and body is resumed, and both soul and body are found to be unchanged. I find this interesting, and I see that my time is getting limited. If you want this book, we'll be referencing it a little bit more because, again, it established, and by the way, we got some books to cover as well. This one, though, as we get further into it, establishes that if this soul lives on, then is it a question that the soul is in a realm that has a governance of time, but the time is a different type of time than in this realm? And that somehow or another, we've been taught that we can't see into this realm. But apparently, it is known that they can see into this one. Well, I contend if that doorway exists, to say that it only exists in one way, I don't think works, but that's just me. We're going to get into some other things. This one here did a lot of work this weekend. Earth's Forbidden History. This one is going to be fun, folks. Let's see. We're going to also get into the 6th and 7th books of Moses again, because we're going to be getting into hardcore spells. This is a great book, The Secret of Psychic Power and Control. We're going to get into this one as well. Continuation, how to put your primitive scene center and your highest visual centers under psychic power control. Our ancestors apparently were much more psychically in tune than we are. And this is interesting. This is a book of magical charms and spells. And as you can see, these are some very interesting, well, spells, charms. I was fortunate enough to come across this, and I thought, okay, charms for theft and to conquer the enemy. I love this. And there is yet another one. Is this a sexual magic and perversity in the use of, well, both of the craft and actually in real life. So anyway, the Soul Book, Communicating with the Dead. I mean, it's one of those taboo subjects. You were taught you just don't do that. But what are we supposed to learn something through the absence, or is it maybe a fact that if you have communication, it's holding them back on the other side? Then if you believe in the thing of reincarnation, then how long is a soul basically in between gigs? I mean, yeah. See, some of y'all are saying that. Yep. I don't know. I do know it exists. I have enough of the paranormal equipment to establish there's something. I don't know if there's this coalescence of time that we're seeing. I mean, if you're not aware of something, then how do you know you've ever lost something? I mean, if they teach us that this realm is the spooky realm, that science never breaches in that realm, they're wrong. China has admitted their whole thing, much like Silicon Valley and the tech gods, they want to know this thing about the soul. And they have means in which ethically we couldn't use over here, but this is what they're in. And I wonder if the time is, we've already know that the soul weighs is it about 21 grams? Is that what they have established the weight of the soul to be, or the spirit? And the belief is and I don't think China's alone in this. I think we're right in the mix along with the rest of them, because it's the Holy Grail. It's immortality. I mean, if you can capture the soul the spirit, you potentially have an unlimited power supply. And then it gets into the weird thing that if you have the ability to capture a soul, does it open that portal to now where you can venture into that other realm from this realm? That would be turning the tables, wouldn't it? Instead of the angels and the demons coming here, we go there, kick some ass. And then that brings up the whole question. So where are they existing in? If you believe in the fact that there's so-called good and bad spirits, are they souls? Are they spirits? And again, what makes them have memory and the ability to apparently feel pain, inflict pain, to have pleasure, to restrict pleasure? I mean, so are we really talking about a demon, an angel here? Are we really talking, are we talking about a soul of some kind? I mean, if this God breathed into Adam a living soul, he became a living soul. Well, does that supersede the fact that there was a spirit animating the body beforehand? And so if an angel has a memory, has a personification, well, then what the hell is that? What, do they possess a soul too? I mean, if this is what the soul is about, is memory, right? My memories, it's who I am. Oh, well. Hey, Cowboy, appreciate it. Okay, it's time for me to go as well. But these are questions, I mean, the more we discover, the more these questions have validity that still have to be addressed. So what is this angel thing? I mean, isn't that the argument that that's what the soul is? It's the memory, it's the emotions. Well, if a demon is a demon, oh, I'm going to come get you. I'm going to, oh, Satan is good, or the angel, oh, yeah. What is that? Is that personality? Or is that automatons? Well, that's how the program was written. I mean, Pingrady, appreciate it. So anyway, I love this, man. I mean, it's like, come on, what's going on here? Let's get to the bottom of this. All right, I'll be here with Miss Trina tomorrow. Hey, Chloe, how you doing? We all have spirit, but not everything or everybody has a soul. Now that I believe. I think that's exactly what it is. All right. Jesse James, how are you? Demons are not souls. They are AI. Well, so would an angel then. Wouldn't that be the case for an angel? What, just because we call them angels? Hey. Yeah. It's like, I have 5 fingers, but I actually have a thumb, which is not a finger, but my fingers include my thumb. So, Teresa, appreciate it. So, all right, everybody. Much love to you, Mary. All right. Until tomorrow, I mean, have fun with your thoughts. I mean, come on. It's, the water's fine, and it's not yellow either. It's, rather refreshing. All right. We'll see you tomorrow with Miss Trina. All right.